Welcome back to some more interesting questions. The video that I'm going to bring up right now pertains to a neurologist explaining why people cheat in love. My personal opinion on this is if you're in love with someone, you probably won't cheat on them. Me personally, I could never imagine marrying someone um, and cheating on them. Um, me personally, I would just call off the relationship. I just be like, well, obviously, I'm not in love with you anymore. I want to be with someone else. So why would you stay with that person? But I mean, people do this. This happens. It's very commonplace in my watch of life because I witness these types of things and I see people do these other things. And me personally, I guess maybe that's why I'm single. You know, I don't think you should commit to somebody and then cheat on them. So this is an interesting question, though. This is a very interesting question: is why do people do these things? Why would someone commit to be in a relationship and then just go and just cheat on that person, knowing that it might hurt the other individual? But there could be a lot of narcissism. There could be sociopathic tendencies or psychopathic tendencies as to why people act and do the things that they do, because they have these ulterior motives. And, the average person is just kind of like, they're subject to these things. They become victims of these things. So, that's kind of why I chose this video. This guy is going to explain why people cheat. And it's never made sense to me. I'm old fashioned, I guess, in that sense, is that I'm like, if I commit to somebody, then it's till death do we part. You know, if I'm not in love with someone anymore, 100%, I would just leave that person. Like that's my position. I just, I know I'm like, I'm not in love with this person anymore. And, I guess people kind of also perceive, cheaters. They kind of just go, okay, hey, well, I'm going to stay with this person and I'm just going to continue to manipulate them, let them believe whatever they want, because you have to also put yourself in the shoes of someone who thinks like this. I'm not saying I think like this personally, but I'm saying is if I were to put myself in the shoes of another individual who thinks that way, is they go, well, I'm going to stay with this person until I have a better opportunity. And that's very realistic, where probably most of you seeing this or viewing this, you would just say, hey, that's not right. You shouldn't do something like that. But there are people out there, they think this way. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get it over to Josh Talks. This is where this video comes from. A shout out to Josh Talks. And, let's get down basically to the nitty gritty of what he has to say. Basically, a neurologist explains why people cheat in love. I don't think you would cheat if you're in love with someone. I don't believe that, quite personally, but let's hear what he has to say.
When you're in love, your brain will maximize all the things that you like about that person and minimize all the things that you dislike. This relationship is the love of my life. Nothing can ever go wrong. And when that story is broken, your heart is broken. And that brings me to one of the first reasons why people cheat.
Josh Marathon.
I was in my neurology OPD. Across me was a 40-year-old lady. She had come as a patient. She was suffering from migraine. With her was her husband. And I was asking her a question that I ask almost all of my patients. Is something stressing you out? Because stress can trigger a migraine attack. And she gave me an answer that I was not prepared for. She looked at me very calmly and said, "Yes, doctor, for the last 1 year, my husband has been cheating on me, and that has been a trigger." I was surprised at the calmness of her answer. But later on, I started asking myself, why should I be surprised? This talk is the story of what comes next. I'm Dr. Siddharth Warrior. I'm a neurologist, a YouTuber, content creator, and today I'm going to talk about why we cheat in love. Cheating is far more common than we think. Studies have shown that almost 40% of couples have been affected by cheating in some way or the other. You compare that with something as common as owning a car, and only 8% of Indian families own a car. And yet we are much more surprised and shocked when it comes to cheating. Why is that? As a neurologist, that is somebody who studies the brain, this question has intrigued me. So for the next 15 minutes, we are going to talk about cheating under 3 headings. Why do we cheat? Why is cheating coming across as a shock? And how do we deal with it? To understand why we cheat, we first need...
Well, I mean, if he's comparing it to Indian relationships in India, he's saying 40%. I don't know. I just think that, it's like Chris Rock said in a stand-up one time, you're only as faithful as your options. And especially here in America, we're very commercialized. We're a very commercialized society. And that's probably why I'm at the age that I am now. And I'm not married. Because people go, oh, Daniel, you're against marriage. You hate marriage. No. Wrong. I am not anti-marriage. I'm not against marriage. I respect marriage. I respect it so much is that I would only commit to being in that marriage or in that form of a relationship because I know this is the only person I ever want to be with, and this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. Like, I love this woman unconditionally, and I will be there for her through sickness and health till death do us part. And that is something you have to respect. The problem with our society is that we do not respect marriage. We just think it's just something you do. And I've had plenty of ex-girlfriends that just say that. Well, if you think that way, Daniel, then you'll never get married. And I'm like, what are you saying to me right now? Is that you don't believe marriage is a commitment? It's something you have to work together with. Like, you have to work with each other to make marriage work. Till death you part. You know what I'm saying? Love, honor, and cherish to the day you die. And they just go, well, if you think that way, then you'll never get married. And it's like, how idiotic is that? Like, what you're saying is blatantly, openly, you're literally saying, I don't think of it that way. I just think it's something you do and you hope that it works out. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm the crazy one.
Need to understand why do we fall in love. And for that, let me take you back to my own story. When I was 17, I was in junior college at Sathe in Villaparle. I met a girl who was sitting 2 seats behind me. As soon as I saw her, I felt attracted. My heart started racing and I started looking forward to our conversations. We started exchanging books, we started having late night conversations, and gradually we fell in love. Every time I would meet her, my heart would just be filled with so much joy. And it wasn't many years later that I understood what was going on in my brain. See, the brain has a primitive part called as the limbic system and an evolved part called as the prefrontal cortex. The limbic system is designed for you to find a partner that fits with your perceived notion of what you are looking for. And when you find that special person, your brain immediately recognizes that this is who you are looking for. Now, the idea of love at first sight is a story that we have all heard. This is where the prefrontal cortex comes in. The evolved part of the brain or the new part of the brain is responsible for creating a story around what the limbic system has just done. Now, this is the story of falling in love. When you fall in love, your entire body reacts as if you have won something amazing. The adrenaline in your body is going up, your heart is beating, there are butterflies in the stomach. But this feeling doesn't last because this is biologically energy intensive. Your body knows that while this is important to fall in love, that feeling gradually needs to subside. Over the next 6 to 12 months, our body gradually recovers from that initial high. Now, a lot of couples mistake this for falling out of love. And that brings me to one of the first reasons why people cheat, because they feel that that love that they had, that spark is now gone. And because that feeling is so good,
That's called impulsive human nature. And that's what we do we want that euphoria. We want that roller coaster ride or whatever. But those things, you can continue the roller coaster ride. You can continue those things. If you're willing to feed into that relationship, you can still excite one another. You can make each other happy. That's the problem with society is what we're doing externally is we go, well, what's this person going to do for me? How's this person going to make me happy? No, dude. Happiness, for one, starts with yourself. And if you're happy with yourself and the person you're with is happy with themselves, you will absolutely find the way to make each other happy. 100%. But if you're not happy with yourself, you will never be happy with anybody else.
they want to chase that in someone else. Let's talk about another reason why people cheat. Somebody who's not looking for anything, somebody who's just caught in the moment. Here, what happens is that the old primitive part of your brain is rewarding you for exploring. Imagine a caveman 1 million years ago. He has made his settlement, he has his tribe. He steps out of the tribe, finds a new place to settle down in, and he is rewarded because now he has explored out of his comfort zone and he has found a new territory to farm, to create a new family. Our brain is evolutionarily wired to reward you every time you take a gamble, a risk. If you've ever been to a casino and you're throwing dice and you want to roll that 6 and the dice falls on that 6, if you earn that 10,000 rupees, the pleasure that you get is much higher than if somebody were to just give you 10,000 rupees. Because now you have gambled, you've taken a risk and you have won something. This is the same reason why gambling is addictive, why people spend all day on the stock market, because they want to take a chance.
Yeah, I agree with him on that. And think about what he's saying is, excuse me, the butterflies you're feeling and everything you're feeling in the beginning of that relationship. Stop and think about what he's feeling is. You feel that euphoria. This dopamine's pumping in your brain and what's going on. So it's literally like, oh, I took this risk. I went up and I talked to this girl and oh man, she's into me. She's talking to me. She's doing this and this, that. That's that feeling that you get. It's the roller coaster effect. You know, you're getting all this adrenaline and your heart is pumping and everything that he's saying. Yeah, it's 100% true what he's saying.
And when the chance pays off, you feel good. This is also why some people cheat. Because when you're caught up in that moment, the old limbic part of your brain is egging you on to
the exhilaration of what you are doing. Also, too, could be a positive thing, but it could also be a negative thing. And that's why people cheat, because they're like, oh, wow, man, this is exciting. I'm getting away with it. It probably runs along the lines of more like narcissistic personalities or whatever. So if you're with a narcissistic person, they're totally and completely going to get off on cheating on you. You know what I'm saying? Because it's exhilarating to them. Because they don't care about the commitment. They have no empathy, so they don't care about the commitment. And I mean, I've done other videos. Check out my content. I've done other videos on narcissism and so on and so forth. So check them out.
Say, take a chance, explore, and let's see what happens. Now let's talk about why is cheating surprising. When I was in college, a friend of mine fell in love with a boy. And for some reason, all of us didn't really like him. We didn't know why. But she would tell us amazing stories about him all the time. And it wasn't till a few months later that we found out that he was hitting her. We spoke with her and the relationship ended. But that got me thinking, how could she not know? How could she not see it? It wasn't till much later that I found out the reason why. When you fall in love, your brain does strange things to the way you see the world. If you see a random person and you have a conversation with them, you will notice certain things that you like and certain things that you don't like. But when you're in love, your brain will maximize all the things that you like about that person and minimize all the things that you dislike. You are literally seeing the world through rose-tinted glasses.
And I agree with what they say. I've experienced that myself. When you are overwhelmed with your perception of how a person is, 100%. And I know, I you know, I dated a girl and I thought the world of her. Thought she was so amazing. And I was like, man, she's so amazing, whatever. But she was very attractive and I thought the world of her. But it turned out in the end, when you step outside of the box, as they say, you're on the outside looking in, you start realizing something about someone, but you start seeing, wow, she was a really beautiful woman, but she wasn't a beautiful person. But you wanted to believe that she was a beautiful person at the same time. You wanted to perceive that. You wanted to think, oh, wow, man, oh, she's a really nice person. She's this and that. But like you looked around all the negative aspects of her personality. Why? Because you just thought she was physically attractive. And women do this with men all the time. I've seen this all kinds of times with women. Women are different than men when it comes down to physical attraction. Women want to say, oh, well, I care about how a guy is. And no, women, you do the same things men do. It all boils down to physical attraction.
You are holding that person accountable. You're holding that person to standards that you don't hold other people to. And so when if that person were to cheat on you, you are going to be much more shocked because how could you do this to me? Another reason why people are shocked when their partner cheats is because of optimism bias. When you are in a relationship, our brain is wired to consider only the positive outcomes. This is going to last forever. This relationship is the love of my life. Nothing can ever go wrong. And when that story is broken, your heart is broken.
That's called a warped sense of reality. You have a warped sense of reality of the person you're with, because the butterflies and everything you're feeling is euphoric. Like he just said, it's like when you're gambling. If someone were to hand you money, you wouldn't care so much as when you're gambling for it, because man, that creates that adrenaline rush or whatever. And that's true. That's very true.
An interesting thing that I realized about love is that when you are in love with somebody, that person no longer remains another human being. They actually become a part of you. And this is something called empathy. Not a lot of people talk about this, but everybody who's been in love has felt it. When you're in love with somebody, they feel like a part of you. And that is the third reason why cheating feels like such a shock, because how can you do this, you being a part of me? And that brings me to the third part of my discussion, how to deal with cheating. And for that, let's take a step.
Narcissists don't care though, that because they play that game and they play on particular people. That's what they do. They play on individuals that they know are empathetic when they are not. That is why narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths will 100% cheat on you, and they won't even think twice about it because they've already lured. They know I got them lured into my trap, and I can get away with whatever I want because this person unconditionally trusts me and they love me and they're empathetic towards me. People, be aware.
Step back and think about love as a whole. When we fall in love and we get into a relationship, what are we trying to do? We are trying to explore ourselves. When we meet somebody who we think is compatible with us, we are actually exposing our own flaws, our own personalities, and we are growing as people. This is what freedom means. But as a society, we have also evolved to form certain pre-existing notions of how relationships should be and certain rules that are unspoken. When those rules get broken, we come across cheating. One of the ways to deal with cheating is to have a very open communication with your partner. Because if you think about it, cheating is not something that you do with somebody else outside the relationship. Cheating is something that you and your partner experience together. In other words, cheating is actually a breakdown of communication between you and your partner. So to wrap it up, I would just like to say that a relationship is
Or they're just a narcissist. They're a sociopath or a psychopath. And you're never going to get through to that person. They have no empathy. You know, I understand what he's saying is if you've been in a long-term relationship and you love and trust the person you're with, maybe you had downfalls. Maybe there was something you lacked in as to why your wife cheated on you. And I've literally heard stories like this where, you know, oh, my wife fell from grace and she cheated on me. And because, you know, I wasn't doing the right things as a husband. You know what I'm saying? I was neglecting her. I wasn't talking to her. I wasn't communicating with her. Or I wasn't working on our intimate relationship. And guess what? She cheated. They worked it out. And she went back. And they're good to this day. I've literally heard stories like this. So sometimes we all can fall from grace. All of us can fall from grace. And it's not that we hate the person that we're with, is we wanted some form of attention or we wanted something. You know what I'm saying? And there's a right and wrong at the end of the day, especially when you're in a relationship. Do you really want to hurt the person? If you really love the person you're with, do you really want to hurt that person? Of course not. So any man on the face of this planet would tell you, I would never cheat on my wife because I love her. I would never cheat on her because I know that would hurt her. It would destroy her. It would be so devastating to her. And I couldn't imagine doing something like that to her. If you've ever heard a man say that, it's because he's a good person. He's an honest person. He's a good man because he loves his wife, or vice versa. If you've ever heard a woman say, hey, you know, and I've seen situations in my walks of life, I've seen women who've had opportunities to cheat on their husbands, and they're just like, no. I'm like, oh, you gonna hook up with that guy? No, I'm not gonna hook up with him. Dude, I love my husband, dude. You know, he thinks I want to hook up with him, whatever. I don't care. He can think whatever he wants, but yeah, I ain't hooking up with that guy, dude. I love my husband. You know, hey, and kudos to those people. Whatever. It's not about what the other person's intentions are. It's about what your intentions are. And if your intentions are good, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
is a journey that two people go through, and it is a constantly evolving one. There is no right and wrong way for two people to have a relationship, just like there is no right and wrong way for you to live your life. As you grow and as you evolve, you will keep coming across experiences that you want to explore. And there is nothing wrong in that. That is what freedom is. But at the same time, if you have a commitment to another person, then it is part of that commitment to involve that other person in your growth. After all, relationship is just two people growing together in the best way that they can.
Yeah, and I agree with what he just said. You either grow together or you grow apart at the end of the day. That's just how nature works. You are like, I'm not a perfect person, and I don't expect the person I be with to be a perfect person, you know. Oh, okay. Someone would say, "Oh man, I love my girlfriend, man. I think, dude, she's so awesome." But you know what, man? She burps and farts a lot. So you would take the scale of, okay, I find her attractive. I love her personality. All my family loves her, but she burps and farts a lot. So you would just weigh the scales on that to just say, okay, burping and farting is somewhere down here, but the fact that I love her and I think she's amazing, she has an amazing personality, and everyone in my family loves her. Yeah, you gotta take your pros and cons and you gotta weigh them out. If there's a lot more pros to your relationship than cons, then you're in a very good relationship. And that's the thing it's all about, at the end of the day, like appreciating something, appreciating the person you're with, appreciating their personality, appreciating the things they do for you. You know what I'm saying? Um, where we get caught up in that as a society and as people, it's our expectations. If your expectations like, oh, I'm gonna be with a movie star and he's gonna be rich and he's gonna be famous, and you're an average person, chances are that's probably not going to happen. So you got to kind of pull your head out of the sand on subjects like this. Is that, kind of get in where you fit in. Stop, especially women. And I say this to all you ladies out there. I love you guys, but what I'm saying is stop trying to get with a guy that does not meet your expectations and then think that you're going to change him for the better. No, you probably should have shot for a level, but a realistic level. You know what I'm saying? Is it's like, okay, let's say you meet a guy. You go, oh, okay, he's a really nice guy. Oh, he's good looking. Wow, like he'd make a really good boyfriend. Oh, but he has bad teeth. Well, I don't date guys that have bad teeth. Girl, you can get your teeth fixed. It doesn't cost much money. A guy can get his teeth fixed. So don't get hung up on like foolish little, superficial things. You can get your teeth fixed. You know what I'm saying? You can lose weight. There's a lot of things you can do to your body to kind of change certain attributes about yourself that can make you a better person. But what I'm saying is if you're the guy who drinks all the time, just probably avoid that situation. You're probably just better off someone who drinks all the time, or someone who's high all the time, just doesn't want to deal with reality. And if you're one of those type of people, don't stop to think like, oh, I'm going to change him, I'm going to get him to quit drinking, or I'm going to get him to quit smoking weed or whatever. Just stop. Ladies, walk away from that. And same thing, all that advice, same thing with guys. Guys, it's the same thing. Try to find a ready-made mate, in the sense is someone who identifies with your belief systems and whatever else, outside of belief systems, and I say, guys, don't try to chase the if you're a 5, don't try to chase 8s and 9s, because it's probably not going to work out too well. Try to find a girl in the middle ground for you too. Try to find a 5 for yourself. If you're a 5, just settle for the 5 and be happy. It's all about being happy at the end of the day, So I'm only this video at this. Thank you guys for joining me. Please like, subscribe, like my commentary on this. Hit the bell icon if you want to get notifications. And shout out to Josh Marathon, man. He had a really good insight on a lot of these things. And I agree with everything he said. So good for him. And thank you guys for joining me. And this has been interesting questions. We got the peace sign over here. And peace and love to you guys. Thanks for joining me.